special. In 2012, Team Devoted to Dylan was the top family team in Milwaukee and the 9th family team in the entire nation, raising more than $33,000. And get this is great as well. They are once again the top fundraising family team in Milwaukee this year, raising more than $23,000. Let's give them a hand. Today to share their story, so I want you to hear from them.
Thank you. Good morning. Like any young couple expecting a child, Jennifer and I were overjoyed in December of 2010 when we learned that we were pregnant shortly after being married. The dreams that we had grown up with, both as individuals and the dreams that we had formed together in our union, drastically changed in April of 2011 during a routine 20-week ultrasound. We arrived at the doctor's office expecting to learn if we were going to be having a baby boy or a baby girl, and instead we learned that our baby was found to have multiple birth defects, genetic anomalies, and we were left to wonder if our child would survive the pregnancy. The weeks and months following that ultrasound certainly were an emotional roller coaster, not only for us, but our family, friends, and loved ones. The doctors were only able to confirm so much by ultrasound, and we were left knowing that once our child was born, then we would truly know what we were dealing with, the road that we were going to be going down. But thankfully, in August of 2011, August 14th, our son Dylan was born via C-section. Due to the severity of Dylan's conditions, he was immediately rushed to the NICU at Children's Hospital of Wisconsin before Jenny could even see him. He would stay in the NICU for just over 2 months, and in those 2 months he underwent 8 surgical procedures, countless blood draws every day, countless tests. And we didn't fully realize it at that time, but he had an enormous amount of strength behind a big smile and some pretty famous eyebrows. During this time in his pod, they call the rooms in the NICU a pod, that's where Dylan's inspiration was born. It was born to those who loved him, it was born to the staff that took care of him, and it's the inspiration that has touched the hearts of hundreds of people across our country, and it all started with a baby boy enduring so much physically at that time. And during our time there in the NICU, we met several of what would turn out to be Dylan's friends and fans, doctors and nurses at Freighter and Children's Hospital, as well as the March of Dimes family team specialist. And at that time, that was Melissa. And Melissa was the one that would check on us every day. She was there to get Jen out of the pod, to give her a break that Jen wouldn't necessarily allow herself. Through Melissa and the presence of the March of Dimes, we participated in onesie decorating for Dylan, a scrapbooking night. His aunt and uncle made a blanket for him. And these activities really truly provided a much needed distraction at that time for both of us. And it was Melissa and the March of Dimes that provided a familiar face and a helping hand in a truly unfamiliar environment.
Over our time in the hospital with Dylan, doctors could not give us a syndrome or a name for his condition. Ultimately, we learned the severity of Dylan's birth defects and genetic anomalies would be fatal. With the help of palliative care at Children's Hospital, we were able to take our baby boy home for the first and last time, where we were greeted by his grandparents, great-grandparents, and his aunt and uncle. Dylan passed away peacefully later that same day in our arms. We knew that we needed to do something with the lessons and inspiration that Dylan taught us. Something to honor our son. We remembered our time in the NICU and the support that we had received from Melissa and the March of Dimes. That following January, we started our March for Babies team devoted to Dylan. During our first year, we raised over $33,000. We were not only the #1 team in Milwaukee, but also in Wisconsin. Later in June, we found out we were also the 9th team in the country and had earned a trip to Orlando for our fundraising efforts. In September 2012, we learned that we were again pregnant. But we later found out we would be reliving that same nightmare. Noah was found to have the same birth defects and genetic anomalies as his big brother Dylan. We were fortunate to have just under 2 hours with Noah here on Earth. Long enough to tell him over and over again that we loved him. Long enough to kiss him all over, and long enough to hold him. Not a day goes by that we don't think about our beautiful children. Not a day goes by that their inspiration isn't present in our minds or in the minds of others. While I was pregnant with Dylan, I joined The Bump, a website for soon-to-be moms to exchange tips, excitements, and fears. Over 300 women from across the country were in this group, and we are all due in September. Over time, true friendships developed. I have only had the pleasure of meeting a handful of these ladies, but I love each and every one of them. Some of them is even part of my family. And one of them surprised me today from South Carolina. Diana. Sassy. After we lost Dylan, the love and support from these women grew stronger than ever. They filled my house with flowers, meals, and special gifts on Mother's Day. But most importantly, they filled my heart. They filled it with acts of kindness of telling their children about Dylan and Noah. They walk with us across the country, and they all have raised money for babies to honor Noah and Dylan. With these women behind me, we went to Facebook to network. Each of us sending daily posts or emails to our friends and family to try and raise awareness and money for March of Dimes. We set up an eBay-like page selling used clothes and items from around the house. We set up several Pampered Chef and Mary Kay parties and so on. These women who had never met us or our children were raising hundreds or thousands of dollars on their own to honor our boys. To jumpstart our fundraising this year in December, I sent out countless emails to local companies and teams to get items for a silent auction kickoff party. We received over 50 items and raised $3,000. The driving force or continued motivation and inspiration will always be Noah and Dylan.
And it's Dylan and Noah that drive us in everything we do, day to day, hour to hour. The significance of both of their lives, though short, cannot easily be summed up. But their significance and example of pure life and love is why we owe it to them to honor their memory and that significance, to tell their stories and remind others of the precious gift of life. We choose to work with the March of Dimes because of their strong mission and commitment to full-term pregnancies and healthier babies. It's a mission that unites people of all walks of life, and like Dylan and Noah, it inspires good in other people. We pray that the inspiration born today doesn't just last for this morning or for this weekend, but we pray that it lasts a lifetime. And we thank you for listening to our story this morning, the stories of Dylan and Noah, and we thank you for standing today with us to support the March of Dimes. So thank you.
What a powerful story. Thank you so much, Jen and Pat, for sharing that with us today. And it totally, it just legitimizes us being here today.